Hi everybody, this is Mitt Rayam, and welcome to a video on hyperproduction. You may have already seen my other video, Why Should I Hyperproduce? And after making that, I realized that there are some questions that people have and some concerns people have about hyperproducing. So this video is, how do I hyperproduce? The first thing I'd like to address is the big red zero in the upper left of the screen, right? Since, as you can see, since this is a stone-producing city, I don't produce enough food to feed my troops. I don't even have a big army, and I don't produce enough food to feed them. And that's okay. In this game, your troops do not need to be fed. If you have food, they do eat it. But if you don't have food, nothing bad happens. They don't riot, they don't die. They just sit there and they wait for directions on who to go kill. So, when you're hyperproducing something other than food, when you need food to queue a build, a study, some troops, you ask someone to send some to you. They send you whatever you need. You fill your queue. If there's a little bit of food left over, send it away so your guys don't eat it. And then you move on. You don't need to have food in your city. You only need to have food when you're starting a build or starting to queue troops. Next thing we should address is how many buildings should you have? So most of us started this game doing some quantity of diversified production. It makes sense. When you're a small city, you can produce enough resources yourself to do most of your builds. However, as you're getting up to level 16, 17, 18, you're starting to realize that producing 60, 70,000 resources of each resource per hour is just not cutting it. There's no way you're going to build up 4, 5, 10 million of each resource to build these buildings. So, as you switch to hyperproduction, do not demolish all your buildings and make them all the resource you're going to hyperproduce. That would be awesome, except that you must have one mine, one farm, one lumber mill, and one quarry in your city to be able to continue upgrading and building everything else. So leave one of each building and fill all the rest with the resource that you're going to hyperproduce. The reason you don't want to have more than one of each other building, I hope will be evidenced here. As we go to the palace, we take a look at our statistics. Oh my gosh, look how much food I'm going down each hour. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. When you have a decent sized army, you'll be eating like 3 million food per hour. You don't need to feed them. Just don't worry about it. The reason you don't want to have more than one of each other building is because of something called your capacity, the soft cap for each resource. Now, you may be familiar with the treasury capacity, right? My treasury will protect 1 million resources in case I get attacked, but that has nothing to do with your production. Okay, your production capacity, in this case for my mines, once I hit 388,500 units of iron in my city, my mines will not produce anymore. They stop producing. So since I currently have less than that, they keep producing at this pitiful 5,926 units per hour. But like my lumber mill can only hold 602,000 before it stops producing. I have 922,000. So even though my lumber mill is capable of producing 17,860 units per hour, right now they're producing 0 because I'm above capacity. If you're diversified, even at level 21, if you've got 6 each of level 21 buildings, you're only able to hold 3.6 million of each resource. I mean, yeah, that's a lot, but that's not enough to build level 21 buildings and continue producing. When you hyperproduce, now keep in mind I've only got one level 21 quarry so far. When I have 22 level 21 quarries, I'll be able to hold, I haven't calculated this, but like 10 or 11 million stone before I stop producing. I don't intend to do that, but but as you can see here, my stone quarries can hold up to 4.8 million resources before they stop. So it's really important as a hyper producer to be aware of that capacity. And before I hit that amount, to either use my stone, give it to someone else, or dump it in the bank so that my city can keep on rolling. Bad rock pun. I can keep producing stone without getting caught at that soft capacity there. Okay, I think I've addressed most of the concerns people have. So now I want to shift the focus to how do you optimize this production? I mean, obviously, the most simple way is to build as many of your resource building as you can, and then upgrade their level as high as you can. The city is only half done. I've been focusing on houses for a while instead, so that I can speed my troop training. But when stone production becomes important to me again, I'll upgrade the levels of these quarries, and that will do a really good job of upping my stone production. Other simple ways to up your stone production, or lumber, or whatever you're hyper focusing on. You have your research. Right? You have the one in here that you should be researching. The rest you don't care about. You can save your time. You can save your silver for other more useful studies. Just research the one that you're hypering. You've got your hero, where if you're hyper producing food, there's some great gear to give you hundreds of percents of food production buffs. If you're hypering non-food, I'm sorry, there's no good gear for us. There's assailant gear that has a couple percentage points for us, but in my opinion, it's not worth the time to try to collect the materials to get it. I mean, not for the pitiful percentages that it offers. Just leave it. If you do want a couple easy percentages, you can gem your equipment to give you 4, 5, 6%. Actually, the legendary ones are probably better, 10 or more percent. But you can gem these to give you a little bonus. But the big bonuses to your production, as you should already know, are in your hero and over in the 50% buff that you get out of the order store. So let's start with the hero. Sorry, we've already been talking about equipment, but in the hero skills, you've got 3 levels of resource production. The most important one is level 3 because it has the most skills that can be put into it, and each skill level gives you an increasing percentage. This is the most important one to start with. Even if your hero is lower level, like level 40, level 43, as soon as you can put more than 25 points in quarry or in the level 3 of whatever you're hypering, that is the most efficient way to do this. When you have enough points to fill this one up, the lumber and the quarry and the stone one give you 350% boost to your production level. 350%, that's ridiculous and really important if you're going to produce resources. This is also why diversifying is really difficult to produce well, because there are 4 different resources. Do you have 50 points times 4 resources to allocate just here? I mean, you do, but then you're not going to have any points for training, you're not going to have any points for building, you're just producing resources. If you hyper, you can put your 50 in here, you can put 25 back in the level 2, you can put 10 in the level 1, and still have points left over to do at least 1 or 2 other things with your hero. Now, the other cool thing for buffing your production is over here in the upper right. You have your resource production buffs. The 50% ones are available in the order store, and if you didn't know, like I didn't until a couple weeks ago, there are 100% buffs available here for gold. Now, the other cool thing that you probably ran into at some point, you had a stone production buff on, and you tried to put on a food one as well. You wanted to buff both of them. You're a diversified producer, you want to buff all 4 of them. But you found out that you can't. It only lets you run one version at a time. What you may not know, hopefully you did, but now you do, you can run one of the specialized production buffs in conjunction with the broad spectrum resource production buff. You can have them both at the same time. And like I mentioned, there's a 50% and there's a 100%. So you can have the resource one that buffs all your resources, as well as your single focused one that buffs the one that you're hyper producing. And those two together give you a 100% bonus to whatever you were producing before you put them on. It doubles your production. Really, really important. So yeah, this is a hyper producing city. That's how I get my production level so high. I can check it here in the palace. Just one more time to show you what's going on here. This half-built city is already producing 600,000 stone per hour. It would not take a whole lot of effort for me to get that up to 1 million. And when my city's done, it will be producing well over 2 million. Really important if you want to produce a lot of resources, to get away from the diversified production and really focus on hypering one resources. Hopefully you have all the information that you need to try this out in your own city. Thanks for watching.